O thou wondrous mighty I am presence, beloved Jesus, beloved Saint Germain, and all brothers of light, I speak to you this morning from the fastnesses of the Himalayas, and I bring you the compassion of the Most High God. The will of God is the compassion of God when it is translated into cosmic action in the force field of your identities. You must think upon this and realize that the will of God is not to be resisted, for as men resist the will of God, they set up karmic conditions which thwart their own happiness and prohibit the manifestation of perfection in their own worlds. And as the multitudes prohibit the manifestation of happiness and goodness in their own worlds, so the will of God is not manifest among men, and human will takes precedence where it ought not. This is a desecration which has been practiced for centuries, and yet our hope continues that mankind shall ultimately achieve that utopia of consciousness wherein the complete amelioration of the kingdom of God shall wipe away all tears from human eyes and bring to fruition the fullness of the paradise of God among men. Won't you please be seated? As beloved Jesus told you, I came to worship him of old, and I remain today to adore the Christ concept of every man. The students of this activity are like many earnest and sincere students of the ages. They are mixed in their consciousness. There are times when they stand a trifle confused. Things do not seem clearly in focus for them, and then they wonder why. Well, beloved ones, I wish to speak frankly that there is never any other reason but one, and that is that somewhere along the line they have temporarily and unceremoniously departed from the consciousness of God, their own mighty I Am presence. You may choose to take a devious way. You may choose to call this condition of inharmony by many other names. You may call it anger. You may call it deceit. You may call it some form of vice or immodesty. You may choose to call it whatsoever you will. All human deceit, all human anger, all human tensions are a departure from attention upon the presence of God. When mankind determined to let flower within them the knighthood eternal, the knighthood of the sacred round table, when they determine in their quest for the Holy Grail that they will have the answer, then the meaning will be translated to them by the eternal simplicity of the one mind, and they will understand that they themselves are the Holy Grail when they become infused with enough of the Holy Spirit that it shines through the very pores of their physical body. And they will then be able to see and behold for themselves the Christ in all others, because there is posited within themselves the Christ universal. I have often sat back and taken a back seat while human beings continued on their way toward destruction, utterly refusing to pay attention to the promptings of the ascended masters. You may wonder why this has been. Well, beloved ones, after all, we have graduated from the schools of God upon this planet some time ago. And we remain anchored here by divine love and the love of service. We could, you know, take our departure if we would. The only law that binds us here is the law of love. And when a prolonged period of time passes and we constantly admonish the students to take a certain cosmic action or spiritual action or even a material action in the interest of freeing them from the powers of this world and transferring them completely into the hands of their almighty I Am Presence for the sake of their eternal freedom, and the individual insists upon having their own way, and the human will insists on taking dominance over the will of God, in the course of due time it becomes necessary for us to sit back and let those individuals dash their heads against the walls of karma until the pain thereof causes them once again to seek us. I am well aware that countless individuals desire to express the love of the ascended masters according to their own concepts of us. And they seem to feel that we are all love, and so we are. But precious ones of the light, we are also balanced, and we know that individuals who were given free will by their own demand must, by cosmic law, be given the right to exercise it. If individuals insist then upon doing things against the great cosmic law, which they themselves know is not correct or right, is there anything that we can do about it? I think not. There is nothing that we can do about it to change the universal law. Then the only thing that we can do is bide our patience until that individual returns to us and makes the call for our interference in their world. You see, beloved ones, we will not interfere unless we are invited or welcomed. Some have thought of their own mighty I Am Presence as standing there prompting them at all times. Well, the great law demands that individuals shall call to God if they would expect Him to answer them. For the prodigal sons have called to the Father for their portion of the eternal inheritance, and they have entered into the fields of earth, and many of them have become steeped in the materialism of this earth. If they then would find their freedom, it is necessary that they call to their own presence that they may find their freedom. It is necessary that they ask us if they would have our assistance in their worlds. Some time back, I used the word interfere. Well, one of the students in this audience seems to have taken some exception to my use of the word interfere. Well, precious ones, I want to tell you this, that when I use the word interfere, I used it in a manner of Christ's discrimination and not as you have interpreted it. I want to tell you that the great law understands the eternal semantics of the Spirit. It is necessary for all individuals to keep in attunement with their own presence, and then they will never criticize another, let alone an ascended master. For whenever another happens to do something that they themselves feel is not correct or right, they will hold the balance of the light within their own heart and recognize that most individuals would never do anything against the great law if they knew better, or if they were more completely in attunement with God. The Christ knew this, and he uttered these words, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And this fiat is applicable to all upon earth. There are only a few that have deliberately chosen consciously and maliciously to perform evil acts. The multitude of mankind walk and absorb the mass effluvia of human consciousness. They do not know what they do, and they wander aimlessly as sheep following one another. But if they will hear the voice of the Good Shepherd, the voice of their own mighty I Am Presence, the voice of their Holy Christ Self, I am certain that they will understand that no ascended being is going to come into their world and change their world unless they themselves extend the invitation to us. Oh, we will send out our radiation. There is no question of that. We will send out our radiation as the sun shines upon the just and the unjust. We will do all the great cosmic law allows us to do to bring about perfection upon earth. But, beloved ones, within the individual orbit of individuals themselves, we will not enter in unless that individual calls unto us and does so most earnestly. Some of the students have felt that they wanted a greater response from us, that we did not manifest to them quite according to their own concepts of us. Well, I would like to speak to them and tell them that we have manifested to some of the students within the past 6 months upon this planet. And many of the students to whom we have manifested do not look nearly so worthy as you do upon the outer. Some of them have not had much instruction in the very light that you have studied. This does not mean that we manifested to them simply because they lacked instruction or knowledge. It was for a cosmic reason that is locked within their own heart, and they are very humble. Now I know that in this audience, many of you are most humble and most devoted to the light. But I say to you, as did the Christ who spake before me, humility is a necessary attribute of divinity. This does not mean servility. It does not mean that you must submit to overpowering outer conditions, or that you must permit individuals to walk upon you as a doormat. You must have your God dignity. But it does mean that you understand the law of love between hearts. It does mean that you understand that you must give your light and your love to mankind, even when they do not give you theirs. For if they in ignorance fail to give their light to you, remember that within a short time they may become illumined. And if you are still holding the wrong concept of them, you see, you will be retarding their progress spiritually after they themselves have overcome it. For your thoughts also have some power. All thought has power. And therefore, every jot and tittle of individual action must be accounted for. Individuals seem to feel sometimes that they are machines, as though for a moment they are plugged into an electrical connection and they run and function. And then again they will pull out the plug or turn off the switch when they wish to do so, that they may no longer function. Well, let me tell you, beloved ones, you are eternal machines if you are machines at all. And you are always registering upon the consciousness of life. It is up to you then, inasmuch as you have free will, to govern the quality of that action which is passing through your world. You do not turn off the machine of your consciousness or your identity at will and decide that you are not going to function. You do not turn off the all-seeing eye of God when you desire to do some specific action and then say to yourself, well, God is not looking at this moment, and therefore I will do as I please. And then turn on the switch again. The universe is always beholding everywhere every action that takes place. No one can deceive the universal law. It is only in the error of their thoughts that they have attempted to do so. And therefore I plead today to the ladies and gentlemen who will be knights of the round table of universal cosmic identity, the law of the circle, those who recognize that all sit at a round table where all are equal. I urge those knights and ladies to partake of the grail of the immortal consciousness of their God identity, and not attempt to thwart the plans of heaven by immersion in human concepts. Human concepts have never given mankind their freedom. Countless wars have been fought. Human beings have passed through extreme suffering through the use of human consciousness. But the divine consciousness has never, ever, in all eternity, dragged individuals down. It has ever lifted them up, and it will continue forever to do so. Therefore, change your consciousness, and you will change your life. Keep your attention high upon your divine presence. Remember that the ascended masters walk with you. We are your friends. We are not your enemies. We are not here to try to shout at you. We are not here to try to disturb your words. We are not here to put you in a frenzy of fear. We are here to mitigate all fear. But we want to see the manifestation of honest hearts in the interest of achieving a specific purpose for God, for country, for the country of God, freedom, the world around, for the universal flourishing of true knighthood and nobility. I do not stand here as a critic or a judge of anyone's action, but I stand here with the frankness and honesty of an ascended being. Those of you who do not fear to know the truth about themselves and would perfect themselves, make the call to me tonight before you pass out into sleep. I will stand this night and for many nights to come beside the fires here in Darjeeling. I will keep a chair beside that fire waiting for you. And when you come, I will greet you with true divine love. I will help you to overcome your faults and weaknesses. I will shelter you in the will of God from the wintry blasts of human desolation. I will bind up your wounds together with the Christ, and together we shall progress to our immortal destiny. The past is prologue. I thank you. Peace be unto you in the name of our Father. May the comfort of the Most High envelop you and sprinkle upon your hearts drops of mercy and the oil of peace. I come today to those who have known me for many embodiments, and to those throughout the world who do not yet know me, in the confidence that the grace of God, which all share, will one day bring them to the feet of their divinity, that they may be exalted, even as I am, by the Most High, to that place before the throne of grace, where peace and joy and the consciousness of God is imbibed and is entered into. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of our Father, the kingdom of my God and the kingdom of thy God, is to be brought about upon earth even as it is in heaven. As you gaze, as did Abraham of old, upon the firmament, and you behold the manifold stars placed there in orbits of beauty, try to envision the vastness of the cosmic world, and know that where I am, there may ye be also, is spoken of that immortal spark, the Most High that is within thee. This is the seed of God, planted in the garden of thy heart, that thou, beloved ones of earth, may nourish it and cherish it until, through tender and loving care, it expands into the kingdom of God. Beloved ones, the enemy of human consciousness may have sown tares in the garden where peace ought to be, but mankind must wait until the harvest to remove all tares, and yet they must avoid partaking of the poison pot. For it is necessary that people keep within themselves a desire to receive the best responses from life, that they determine that they will keep their consciousness pure with all that lieth within them. And having determined that they will keep their consciousness pure, that they place their faith in their own mighty I Am presence, even as I did of old. Then they will understand that although the outer conditions may rage all around them, they may stand serene in a citadel of light's perfection. This, beloved ones, is not the seat of the scornful, nor is it the seat of the sanctimonious, those who feel that they are holier than others. Man must learn the Christ discrimination that is able to keep an open heart to the very throne of divinity, and yet an open hand toward his brother upon this planet. Beloved ones, any number of individuals who have sought religious emancipation, who have sought freedom by means of religion and religious rituals down through the centuries, have found that when they attained a certain spiritual stature, they determined that they had then achieved, and yet their achievement was only a mark upon the rule. And by reason of their feeling of lofty attainment, they sat somewhat in scorn of those of lesser achievement, and therefore delayed their own spiritual progress and prevented themselves from outpicturing the beauty of the kingdom of God at an early date and hour. I caution all the students of this light and of every activity against the lifting up or exaltation of themselves by reason of some spiritual ability conferred upon them, or by reason of any sense of attainment. And yet I advise that all ought to always consider themselves to be held within the keeping of the Father's ever eternal presence. The eternal presence of the Father as a swaddling garment or as a robe enfolds each one at all times with the eternal presence. As mankind are made aware of the presence of the robe, of the presence around them, they strengthen the weaving of the strands of light, and so the garment becomes stronger and more beautiful, more glistening with the eternal light of the ages, and they become then examples of the Christ in manifestation. I advocate that every one that would follow the footsteps of our Father therefore remain humble before him and before the eternal presence of the light. By means of this humility they will attract to themselves the radiance of the great central sun, for its rays are poured out universally upon all, and all men are children of one God. And yet there are many mysteries involved in this concept, of which I shall not enter into at this hour. And yet there are among you those who understand the meaning of that which I speak. And yet there are some that have not yet attained to it, but all have attained at inner levels to a springing forth from their God source. For all came from the heart of God into manifestation, and all shall return according to the divine plan to that heart in due time. The delays are brought about by human reactions and actions to the great cosmic law, and therefore mankind must understand that all lack of progress is a result of their own error and snares which they have laid both for themselves and for one another. In order to avoid these pitfalls and these snares, they must keep an honest heart. For he that seeth in secret shall reward openly. No truer words have ever been uttered concerning the manifestation of this great law, the law of the all-seeing eye of God. The all-seeing eye of God determines that which is done in secret is shouted from the housetops. And therefore today we see, beloved ones, a certain outer manifestation of this great law, but the inner manifestation has not been fully realized. Mankind today are able to witness by means of the aerials which extend from their buildings the powers of television and the radio, whereby they are able to see shouted from the housetops that which is done in secret, as oftentimes is brought about in news reports concerning the secret actions of mankind. And yet I speak not, and the great prophecy spake not concerning that alone, but it spake concerning the revelation of that which is done in secret, in the secret place of the Most High, and also that which is done in secret by those who seem to feel that they are above the great law and that God does not see. And therefore all in due time shall be revealed. The threefold revelation, both in the outer as it is today, through the radio and television, and by the great cosmic radio of divine truth, which shall speak to all mankind concerning the knowledge of God, which shall cover the earth, even as a flood. Beloved ones, the presence of God is within the sacred temple of your immortal being. As you turn to it now in loving adoration, realize that each spark of the sacred fire is glorified by the glory of the whole. As on wings of light, the sacred fire spark within your being unites with the conflagration of the eternal light in the great central sun, know that the radiating pulsations of that sun of suns, behind the sun of this system of worlds and behind the sun called the great central sun, is the spiritual Son of God, the light of God that does not fade, the eternal light by whose power the orderly progression of universes extend ad infinitum out into time and space. Therefore, I, beloved one, speak unto you today and bring to you the conception of peace in the midst of turmoil. You have thought of me and my mission often during the days that I walked in Palestine, but know that I have stood by the bedside of millions throughout the earth, some who are here and some who have passed through the change called death. But I remain under the present hour as one willing to render service to this planet. I have long been free from the shackles which bind mankind to the wheel of birth and death. I have long been free from the fetters of this earth, and yet it is a joy to keep myself bound here by divine love, and by the bands of divine love to determine to render a service to those who need my light. That light which I am is that light which I give, and I give it to you all to share with you from the Father's table, the sacred communion of our hearts, that as we together adore the presence of life and light and love immortal, so we together may expand into the Father's kingdom to recognize the brethren upon earth as one with the brethren now ascended. This has ever been our desire, that the brethren unascended recognize their unity with those of us who have passed through that glorious initiation of the ascension. You will recall the experience of those who walked with me on the road to Emmaus. You will recall how that their eyes were held so that they did not know or behold that it was I. And when I break the bread with them, and they beheld the manner in which I break it, they recognized me, and I disappeared from their sight. Beloved ones, although I may not be visible at this moment to many of you as I stand speaking to you, having disappeared from your physical sight, yet I am within you. I am within you through the radiant beams of the Christ light from your own higher mental body, or Holy Christ self. I am with you always, even unto the end of the world, unto the end of the age, unto the end of human dominion. I am with you then forever in the kingdom of eternal light. And the beauty of the kingdom of God is in the manifestation of its immortality, the immortal, all-loving power of God, which enfolds the hearts of men and makes of their hearts a chalice which resembles the cup referred to by David in the Psalm, saying, "My cup runneth over," for whose heart's chalice could contain the Most High. And yet this cup runneth over with joy, and the joy of God is extended from heart to heart. It leaps, it cascades like a waterfall. It is cast over the precipice of human consciousness. It cascades again, it rises and it falls, but the eternal presence of God ever exalts and lifts all that it touches. It cleanses, it purifies. It is a crystal clear stream, for it is the light in many manifestations. It is the one light that has become the splendor of many lights. the lights in the heavens, the lights within the earth of your temporal form is lighted by the power of God. The 7 lights of the 7 Chohans of the rays grace this planetary body. The 7 mighty archangels are lights also. And there is light everywhere, but it is one. And therefore, as I speak to you this day, I urge upon you that you cherish the light above all, and cherish the light in one another. Be guardians of that precious treasure that is within every heart. Seek to expand that treasure more than to criticize the actions of the individual who walks the dusty roads and highways of the earth. Beloved ones, truly God's love is sufficient, as is his grace, to overcome all human densities. The immaculate concept, so held by my Mother Mary, must be held by you for yourselves and for your fellow travelers upon the path. All must come to understand, and all shall one day, the full meaning of the sacred fire. The word fire, beloved ones, signifies to a child of earth something which may burn him. To a child of heaven it signifies that which may save him and will. Precious ones of the light, the sacred fire can do naught else except to transmute those discordant elements of human consciousness which mankind have unfortunately taken unto themselves into light. And as it transmutes them into light, one by one, mankind slough off their mortal faults and errors until they stand at last radiant outpicturings of the cosmic Christ. This is the purpose of God. It is not the purpose of God to see mankind enter into degeneration, but to see them rather enter into regeneration, that the regenerative power of the Most High may exalt them every day a notch closer to complete identification with their own mighty I Am presence. Beloved ones, regeneration is the power of the sacred fire, which performs the transmutive act of exalting each individual monad of divine existence into the Father's kingdom and out of the human sense consciousness, which can never bring complete happiness, but only temporal happiness to mankind. I am come this morning to bring comfort to the hearts of those who grieve. I am come this morning to bring consolation to the planet. I am come to bind up the wounds of all hearts. I am come to see complete unity, and I envision complete unity everywhere. Therefore I urge that the students will have a Christ mind like unto my own, and will cherish that mind more than they cherish the identification that they have made with their own mind in the past. Precious ones, I know, for I too have lived in a human mind. I know exactly how difficult it is for men to extricate themselves from out of the weavings which they have made through their own mundane endeavors. They have spun a cocoon of ignorance around themselves. And as this becomes increasingly dense, they find it difficult to envision God's mind by contrast to their own human mind, which seems to surround them on every side, for it is most tightly knit. But precious ones, I assure you that the power of the violet flame, invoked with full intensity, with a pink center, is able to completely melt the strands of substance which mankind themselves have woven, which have composed these densities. And when this discord is melted from around the human individual, the soul immortal within as an expanding fire spark, will pass through the flesh form and illumine that flesh form with a luminosity whereby the countenance becomes enlightened and radiant. Then the individual is able to pass on mighty light rays to the great central sun, and in a manner perifical extend their consciousness everywhere, even as I am. And therefore, in so doing, they abide in the consciousness of God, which is in many consciousness and is in all. Thus, the heart of all abides in that one, and they are exalted as a child of my Father. And the meaning of the words, our Father, are translated into action. This is an alchemical situation whereby each individual becomes refined by the pure gold of the Spirit and stand as shining sons of light before the angels of God, before those whose hearts are cleansed and purified by the eternal radiance. As I leave you this morning, I want to tell you this, that you shall be blessed this day by the presence of still another who will speak to you this morning, even one who came during my birth at Bethlehem to adore me. And therefore one of the wise men of the East, beloved El Morya, known as Melchior, shall speak to you from Darjeeling this morning and bring the blessings of the host of light to abide there. I, Jesus, thank you and bless you. I am your host. Be my guest. Warm yourselves upon my fires
here in Darjeeling. For I have been silent throughout this class and not scheduled to speak. But I could not refrain from speaking for many reasons, and besides, I have been asked by the solar regents to introduce beloved Sanat Kumara. And therefore, today I am here to charge my energies forth in approval of the marvelous harmony and devotion which the Chelas have expressed to the light. In the holy name of God's will, precious children of God, it is not every day that so goodly a crew are assembled on board the ship of state. And here, beloved ones, in the governing city of this great nation, are, to my way of thinking, individuals who are of far more importance to the spiritual government of this planet than the Congress that sits upon the hill. Precious ones of the light, without the prayers, the intercessions, the invocations, the devotion of the millions of hearts throughout America, I ask you, what would any Congress consist of but a body of disorganized individuals? But through prayer, through devotion, through an intense application and a calling forth of the will of God, order and system proceed. Mankind, in their criticisms of their various governments, seek to evolve a higher form of government, a higher form of life for all, the peoples of the world. But the government of God over man is the best form of government for all to cherish. In its principle, truth can unfold with dignity. Therefore, today, it gives me great happiness to turn to one who for so many years served as Lord of the world, the predecessor of beloved Gautama, and the present regent of the world, beloved Sanat Kumara, who upon the holy star Venus needs no introduction by any of its citizens. Here upon earth, I am chosen and honored to introduce to you him before whom the hearts of heaven bow in adoration of the mighty love flame and radiation of the solar lords. I give you now the beloved regent of the world, Sanat Kumara. Solar and galactic emissaries, councils of the Great White Brotherhood, beloved El Morya, and all who have to do with the sacred fire, I greet you in the name of the legions of light upon the planet Venus, whose rolling terrain, like your own, is buoyed up in the spatial sea by the tenderness of an infinite magnetism which holds in their planetary orbits all of the planetary bodies and keeps the place of each manifestation of God in an individual orbit, safe in most cases from collision. Won't you please be seated? A comet of light has passed through the solar system this day so rapidly that none of the astronomers from the outer level of consciousness were able to apprehend its passage. Its tail comprised a beautiful pink radiance, and the radiance of that comet of light was the secret love star from the great central sun. It trailed its great clouds of glory throughout the entire solar body, and it brought us all a blessing wafted through the solar highway and penetrating the core of every tiny atom, as well as the giant suns in this system of worlds. I mention it in passing, not expecting your outer minds to comprehend it, but to show forth and to signify to man that the mark of cosmic dimensions is constantly expanding. By the power of the solar flame, the divine intent and radiance is becoming manifest. Pause now to consider. Pause now to think of the meaning of the sacred fire. The meaning of many words is lost upon the consciousness of men simply because they do not take the time to reflect upon the inner meaning of the word, the spoken word. The spoken word is truly the voice of God. It is the God authority for every life stream. This is the reason for the importance of decree. When individuals declare in a manner wholly out of keeping with their divine identity a certain state, when they affirm a certain condition by the power of the spoken word, they act as a God in their own universe and produce there the chaos of human imperfection. When individuals employ the power of the precious spoken word as God intends to call forth perfection, they do so not only for themselves, but for every other part of life here. The meaning and purpose of existence has only been revealed to men of God devotion, and the rest have ever been left behind to ponder upon the fullness of the cosmic meaning. This morning, beloved ones, it was made known to you why this is so, and therefore I am hopeful that the students of this activity and Chelas of light the world around will not only desire to appropriate the words released in these classes, but will desire to retain the radiation and share the radiation with those lesser manifestations of light who have not yet understood the fullness of the divine plan, or have not apprehended the measure of the divine plan which is made known to you. I do not mean to imply that you are to go forth and speak of the unspeakable to those who do not know. But I do mean that you can go forth aware within your own consciousness of the flame, the solar light that burns within the temple of your heart, and guarding it and surrounding it with the myrrh, the frankincense, and the precious gold, the gifts of the wise men to the newly born Christ, you can hold your own being as an immortal manifestation of God. And walking among men, you can perceive the embers of the sacred fire from heaven's altar, blazing there within your heart. You can call to the beloved Maha Chohan to blow upon those embers the breath of the Holy Spirit and to fan that flame into action until it becomes a conflagration, changing your spinal column into a mighty pillar of light charged with a solar flame and making you to glow as an electrode of the sacred fire. The rising power of the lords of the flame from Venus is to become manifest within men and women upon this earth, so that there may be restored once again the secret power of creation anchored in beloved Cosmos' two secret rays, which will make possible a birth upon this planet by those means of the power of the spoken word, whereby a man and woman, as they do upon Venus, may face each other before the sacred altar and call forth the mighty light rays from the heart of their presence that shall unite and blend before the altar of God in holy union and bring into manifestation on the instant the full-grown body of a man-child. This release, when it first manifests upon this planet, will free the women of the earth in time from the burden of childbearing and remove the thorns which were never a part of the divine intent from the birth process, enabling both life and death to take on new aspects in human consciousness, which will mean that the terminus of an individual life, not yet destined to ascend at the close of its embodiment, will be one whereby the individual may come to the temples of the solar fire upon earth and stand before the priest of the sacred fire and step into the flame to become absorbed by its purifying essences, while the loved ones of their own family gaze at their conscious exit from the screen of life, without a tear, without a sigh, knowing that that individual will once again find a holy renewal in the vows of a manifestation and a womb manifestation, a man and a woman, standing together before the holy altars of God, to once again bring them into the form world from the former, so that individuals may no longer suffer the pangs of the birth and death process as it is now known upon this planet, but that the glory of the new age will be shed forth and partaken of by advanced men and women who love and admire the culture of the divine light. Now I realize full well that my meaning is understood by many of you. There may be some of you who may not fully comprehend that of which I speak. But let me affirm for you that you are dealing with mighty powers of light beyond the power of ordinary human comprehension. Do not for one moment make the mistake of thinking I am speaking of that of which I know not. Those who are free from the body prison and able to behold me in my blazing solar body would never question my authority. But those who are yet embodied in mortal form and only able to see and perceive the instrument through which I speak may not always be fully aware of the great authority of the one who is making the dictation. And therefore, I remind you this in order to avoid you creating karma for yourself, which you would one day have to wipe out by denying the eternal principle of God access to this planet. Those of you who are possessed with the understanding of the lost continent of Lemuria and Atlantis understand that in the ancient civilizations the birth process was not as it now is. You understand the meaning of the words referred to in the ancient scriptures, as there were giants in the earth in those days, in the which the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and took them wives of all that they chose, for they saw that they were fair. Beloved ones, you will also understand that the birth process came about as men descended into materia, into materiality. And therefore, the Word became flesh. Through the processes now known upon this planet. But of old, Melchizedek, priest of Salem, priest of the sacred fire, was born without mother and without father, in the sense that he did not come through the ordinary manifestations, but he came through the extraordinary power of creating the form by mighty light rays, passed from the heart and throat of both mother and father, as the secret rays of creation. It is necessary that I make this announcement once again, for the advent of the Golden Age means that certain advanced individuals will be able, as they take certain solar and cosmic initiations, to perform these works and to restore the boundaries of the old temple, which is the ever-new temple of divine mastership. Mastership and dominion was given to man as a manifestation of God over the whole earth. And in days of old it was understood how to create the flowers by the sound of music, so that as the tones rose and fell, the fields actually began to blossom to the tunes of the music with multicolored hues, and poured forth their fragrances to correspond to the tonal values of the notes. The angelic bands were able to strike one chord upon their harp and cause to burst into instantaneous manifestation flowers far beyond these which you see gracing this altar. The power of God, by being misused, has diminished for men. The power of God, by being used as it was intended, has become glorious for the lords of the flame. And it is the power of the flame, the power of God, that has made us lords of the flame. I come to you today to remind you that love is the eternal key. I come to you today to remind you that love is the eternal door into which the eternal key must be placed. In the space-time continuum known unto man, he must accept the opportunities of eternity and determine for himself that by election he will be free. This we have done. This every solar lord recognizes is necessary It is a part of initiation. For the Eternal Father did not form over man a rigidity which restrained his free will. Rather, the Eternal Father gave into the hand of each one, into the mind and heart, the law of God, which was written within the hearts and minds of every individual by the very finger of God, and traced there in letters of living light. All scriptures, all words, whether spoken or recorded in other ways, must come through an instrument in order to be interpreted. Electronic recordings pressed upon wax or plastic substance require the stylus of a needle and vacuum tubes for amplification. It is the sacred fire element within the tubes that performs the necessary power of amplification. Have you noticed, beloved ones, how that the vacuum tubes glow with the fire? Have you noticed how the electrodes and filaments of your bulbs glow with the fire? This is the stream of electrons moving through the wire, the currents of the sacred fire. The mystery of electricity is scarcely known by the scientists of the world, for they still speculate much upon the mysteries of electricity. Well, the cosmic electricities, beloved ones, are far greater and more intense than those which are used by mankind to heat their buildings, to communicate with other parts of the world, to drive their vehicles, and propel their elevators upward and downward. Electronic power is used to record upon tape. It is used for countless purposes. It is used in data processing, whereby individuals gather information from various sources, compile it by electronic methods, and record it for themselves at a later date or for posterity. It is possible today for the people of the world to machine instruments and structures by the means of electronic impressions recorded upon tape. Think you then what the future holds for all life when men understand how to read the Akashic records of God, when they understand how to consciously leave the body temple and go in the fullness of consciousness to the Akashic records of God as they now presently go to a library of reference and obtain their information from cosmic sources, and then come back to the physical form and proceed to bring into manifestation that which has not existed upon this planet since the days of Atla and Lemuria. The solar lords upon the planet Venus, those beloved cosmic brothers, the lords of the flame, known as I am known as the Holy Kumaras, stand ready to radiate their rays of light into this place and into the heart of the earth as an exchange and a gift of the cosmic light, to renew and to vivify the sacred fire element upon this planet, to cause an expansion of all of the flames of God that are presently anchored upon this earth in the various retreats and foci of light. And therefore today, as I am speaking to you, I am making a call now to the Holy Kumaras upon Venus to descend to the city of Shambhala and join me before Gautama's sacred altar. each one of the Kumaras is carrying with him as he descends a torch upon which is ignited an element of a specific quality of the sacred fire from the planet Venus. These qualities will be anchored at Shambhala. They will be used by Lord Gautama as a condition of balance to produce divine balance upon the many recalcitrant conditions presently disturbing the people of this world. If attention is paid this next year, from the date of this address onward, to Lord Gautama daily, in the calling forth of the power of these flames, they will be distributed throughout the earth in greater measure, according to the intense calls and adoration of the student. For the great law cannot be broken. As much as we would desire to share it with all the people of earth without reservation, we must obey the cosmic law. And someone here must invoke those flames and call them forth. We can bring these flames by cosmic law to Shambhala. We can elevate them in Shambhala and sustain them. But it is up to men and women to call them forth daily into action here. Out of the great, great silence, the holy Kumars have poured forth their radiance to the entire planet Earth in the holy name of Lady Venus and for the assistance of mankind's immortal destiny. I am now about to take my leave of you, saying to you that mighty victory, that great brother of light from Venus, especially asks that I greet many, many of you among this audience and throughout the world in his holy name. He desires that all of you shall keep the faith in your ultimate victory and never for a moment let it waver by any outer appearance. He states to you today, those of you who from this day forward shall never fail on any one single occasion to keep the faith, but shall always believe in the power of your ultimate victory, that he personally, at the time of your ascension or passing from the screen of light, will manifest tangibly to you at inner levels to give you a special assistance and blessing of incomparable magnitude. This assistance comes from Venus to our sweet Earth, the beloved twin sister. Shine now, O Terra, with the holy light of freedom. Shine now, O Terra, with the holy love of God. Shine now, O Terra, with the holy wisdom of God. Shine now, O Terra, with the power infinite. You are a blazing sun. Your people all are one. The star of hope, as Bethlehem of old, signifies a nativity of gold. A nativity of gold to all who will open the door with the magic key of their own mighty I Am presence and divine identity to unity in life, to unity that lives immortally, to unity that can never be destroyed. Hail then, thou angel, upon whose crown blazes the word union, Michael. Hail, thou golden eagle, descending from our planet. Hail, America, the land of the free. Hail, O earth, whose people are destined to be free. Hail, all who love freedom. Hail, Saint Germain, thou friend of freedom. Hail, every son and daughter of light. You are blessed and greeted by the orders celestial, and the orders terrestrial shall bow in adoration to the celestial choirs of the immortal nativity of the ever-living Son of God. I thank you and bid you, in the holy name of God, your mighty I Am presence, a fond and eternal greeting of felicity. God be with you. Adieu.